So hibernation in bears is fascinating and miraculous. You have a mother bear who disappears in a hole in the ground for 5 months in the winter. And not only doesn't she die, she emerges in the spring with new cubs. So it's no wonder that since time immemorial, bears have been seen as symbols of transformation, life after seeming death. So what's her strategy? Well, a lot of it has to do with obesity. And yeah, today we think of obesity in humans as a really bad thing. But for a mother bear, it's absolutely vital to her success. So starting in the summer, midsummer, she will kind of kick into a feeding frenzy, which is called hyperphagia. And she'll be able to consume 30,000 kilocalories of digestible energy in a day. And that's not all. Even though bears mate in the late spring, the female's fertilized eggs don't implant in her uterus until she dens. And if she's not fat enough to actually pull off a successful pregnancy, which of course could kill her and her cubs, she just spontaneously aborts. So fat really matters. The fatter a mother is when she goes into the den, the more likely she is to produce a larger litter. Say 3 cubs instead of 1. And that matters because cub mortality is really high, about 60% or more. And the cubs that are born to fat mothers tend to be healthier than those born to skinny ones. Her choice of a den improves the chance of her success. So late in the fall, she'll go up in elevation, find a north-facing slope, say in Yellowstone Park, and to dig her den in a place where the snow is deep enough to completely cover over the entrance hole. That provides good insulation for her and also absolute protection from predators. Bears don't eat, drink, defecate, or urinate for about 150 to 180 days. They don't lose bone strength or density, and they don't lose muscle mass, even though they may lose about 30% of their fall weight. And of course, their organs don't fail. And bears don't lose consciousness in hibernation. It's more like a doze. And their body temperatures don't plummet to near freezing, which deep hibernators such as ground squirrels do. And that's why, in the dead of winter, a mother bear can give birth to cubs. And those cubs rely for the rest of the winter entirely on their mother's milk. And then in the spring, in April, sometimes even May, they'll emerge from the den, and the cubs will actually stay with their mother for 2, maybe even 3 years, learning a lot about how to make a living in the world from her. Well, medical researchers have been trying to unlock her secrets in the hopes of benefiting people who suffer from osteoporosis and heart disease, diabetes, and other disorders. So you may ask how far they've gotten, and the answer is not that far. They have a long ways to go to realize the dream of inducing hibernation or a hibernation-like state in people undergoing traumatic injuries. But if they could induce hibernation in someone, say, undergoing cardiac arrest or a stroke, they could buy precious time for treatment. But researchers are making more headway with osteoporosis using discoveries made from bears. If you or I were to stop moving for months or even weeks, our bones would deteriorate to the point where we could no longer walk. But not so for bears. They produce a parathyroid hormone that allows them to maintain bone strength and density, even though they're inactive, basically. And researchers have been able to isolate this hormone, and now some doctors are treating people who suffer from osteoporosis using a manufactured version of this hormone discovered in bears. So what about diabetes? You would expect a bear to get type 2 diabetes, but bears have a mysterious set of chemical pathways, including a very recently discovered dimmer switch that alters their sensitivity to insulin, the hormone that regulates blood sugar, which is pretty incredible. And kidney function is no less amazing. If our kidneys stopped being able to excrete waste, particularly uric acid, we would soon die. But bears have special microbes in their gut that convert urea to nitrogen to make new amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. So, in the comfort of their own den, without eating, drinking, or eliminating waste, they're able to maintain muscle mass. And there's so many other surprises. Bears actually stop breathing when they hibernate for maybe 25 to 30 seconds at a time because their requirements of oxygen are a lot less. And their heart rate drops from, say, 95 beats per minute to maybe 19. And even though the chambers of their heart fill with some fluid, they don't get congestive heart failure. I mean, there's so much that researchers don't know and have yet to learn about hibernation. Basically, hibernation in bears, it's a miracle and a mystery. And I think that's how it should be. Well, given all this, it's no accident that awe and reverence have been at the heart of the relationship between ancient cultures and bears. And people around the world have shared a common story of the bear as a teacher, a guide, a mentor, a healer, an animal with magical powers. And emblematic of these powers, there's an old story of a mother bear who goes into her den in the winter and dreams the world into being. In her imagination, she dreams with whitebark pine and antelope and cutthroat trout. She dreams every animal into being and entire ecosystems. And when she emerges in the spring, all the other animals celebrate. Well, the point is that entire ecosystems wouldn't exist but for the mother bear as a midwife. So today, as so many of us are feeling increasingly isolated and alone, even with all our modern gadgets, we need her rejuvenating powers more than ever. And it's no accident that families across the country and even the world are flocking to places like Glacier and Yellowstone National Parks in unprecedented numbers in the hopes of catching a glimpse of a wild grizzly in the flesh. Being in the presence of a grizzly makes us feel alive and connected to an animal that still symbolizes transformation and still fills us with wonder.